Boom! We are live. We're in the building. Love it, love it, love it. So, like I was saying, um, talking acceleration this evening, and I am Coach Ronnie. There's my little resume right there. 20 years strength coach. I was a strength coach with the New York Mets for 13 of those years, 12 of those years. There's a picture of me with the one and only the legend, David Wright, third baseman. Um, I've helped hundreds of athletes improve their overall athleticism and their mindset, which is my passion, right? And today, again, we're talking about getting faster and accelerating. So let's check out this next screen. Okay. Why acceleration matters. All right. So your first 10 yards, straight separation. I don't care what the sport is. You have the team sport is in all sports. There has to be some type of separation created. When you have the proper technique, the proper mechanics, whether it's going, we're talking about acceleration pretty much linearly or straight ahead tonight, right? But I don't care if it's lateral acceleration, front, back, sideways. You have to create that separation, right? And explosive starts. I see it all the time. I'll go to different events, time guys in their 60s and their 30s, and they come off the line casually, no intent, and get mad when they get their 30 time or their 60 time. Well, you came off the line like you didn't even want to be here. You have to come off the line like a dog, like an animal. I say it all the time. I want to talk about one of the verbal cues I use a little later, but explosive starts mean everything. Explosive starts can carry over to that powerful finish, all right? Or put you in a position to have a successful, strong finish, all right? Better projection equals faster transition into game speed, 100%. Going back to what I was just saying about running your 60 or the 30 or whatever it is. Come off the line like a dog, right? Once you reach that transition phase, about 20 yards out, 15, 20 yards out, you're ready to rise. You're going to make that smooth transition because you had an effective, powerful, explosive start, right? So, small technique, small technical wins equal big results under pressure, 100%. That's a life thing, though. That's a performance thing in general, right? Isn't it? If you practice the small things, it's going to pay off when the lights are on, you're on the field, everybody's watching. It's not even, you've already put in the work during practice, right? It's all fun at that point. You're just executing that fun at the highest level because you put in the work with those small technical wins leading to big results. All right. So let's see. Acceleration mechanics, simple and repeatable. This guy over here to the right, you see him, right? That's going to be our buddy throughout this presentation. What I want you to see is that 45-degree angle in relation to the ground, number one, that straight line from the heel traveling through the ear, number two, and the separation of the legs right here, and the separation of the arms right here. Ideal acceleration posture, right? Projection in posture, right? Forward lean from the ankles, tall through the hips. What do we see here? Forward lean through the ankles, tall through the hips, tall through the torso, right? That's what we need to see, that forward lean and staying tall. Well, if we're not tall, we're spending too much time on the ground, all right? If we're not tall, that means we're collapsing. We're collapsing at the ankles. We're collapsing at the knees. We're dropping our hips. That's going to lead to too much time on the ground. And it can also lead to overstriding. We're going to talk about that later, all right? Shin angles. We have to have deep shin angles. And my guy have a pretty good shin angle right here. That's a pretty solid shin angle, right? The shin angle is your angle in relation to the ground. 45-degree angle is what we shoot for, and maybe even deeper. A 90-degree angle, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything but popping straight up, all right? So this is the shin angle right here. That angle in relation to the ground. 45 is the number we're shooting for, right? Arm action. You have to be violent. You have to be moving those arms efficiently. I'm going to give you an arm movement tutorial later. But you have to be efficient with that arm action, right? Moving, like we say here, moving from cheek to your back pocket, cheek to your back pocket. You're going to see a video of that later. Foot strike, ball of the foot underneath or behind the hips. There's our guy right here. I told you, this is our guy throughout this whole thing. Where's our foot striking? behind our hip or underneath our hip right here. We're talking about this foot right here. That's the driving, right? This is that foot right here. Needs to push under, drive right underneath the hip like you're seeing right there. All right. Step patterns 1, 2, 3 get progressively longer. Yes, they do. You're spending more time on the ground initially. You have to break that inertia somehow, right? And it all starts with that start, right? So obviously you're going to spend more time on the ground, but as you go, you spend less time on the ground and you cover more ground. All right. So acceleration mechanics. We talked about that. What's next? I'm going to move this thing out. There we go. Let's get this out. I wish I could move it out of here, maybe. Let's go with that. The first 3 steps. Let me see if I can. I was able to play this before. Oh, there we go. Thank God. Okay. So the first 3 steps. This doesn't really focus on that. This video watching here of me, but over here, this is a great. Oh, can I move myself? Oh, God, I didn't. All right. Well, let's watch this the best we can. This video, this gentleman right here is the one. The starts don't do not get much better than this. See if we can watch this.
There's a lot to talk about here in this great start. I'm going to discuss the violent arm and leg separation, the placement of the feet under the hip, and the stiffness of the ankle. Check the captions for more.
Let me see if I can move me one more. Move
There's a lot to
myself. One more time. Oh, okay. That worked out well.
There's a lot to talk about here in this great start. I'm going to discuss the violent arm and leg separation, the placement of the feet under the hip, and the stiffness of the ankle. Check the captions for more.
That right there sums up a solid start right there. Listen one more time.
There's a lot to talk about here in this great start. I'm going to discuss the violent arm and leg separation, the placement of the feet under the hip, and the stiffness of the ankle. Check the captions for more.
That covers everything that we were talking about earlier, right? We talked about the deep shin angle. This is a much better visual. It gives you a better visual of a deep shin angle.
There's a lot to talk about here in this great start. I'm going to
There it is. Look familiar, right? Look at that front leg. Look familiar?
discuss the violent
Look
arm
at the
and
hip underneath. Look at the foot placement underneath the hip. Watch it again.
leg separation, the placement of the feet under the hip, and the stiffness of the ankle. Check the captions for more.
Stiffness of the ankle. We talked about collapsing, right? Staying tall. When we have stiffness of the ankles, our ankles do not sink into the ground, and we're going to spend less time on the ground. Let me stop this. I don't know what else heck is going on over here. I'll stop that. Arms driving straight, crossing. We talked about that, and getting, first 3 steps of getting longer, faster. No overstriding. You're going to get a visual of overstriding a little later. I'm not sure what this video is about right here. Obviously, it needed to be edited, and this is just giving you a better visual of what we're trying to do when we're talking about driving your hips. Driving your legs behind your hips. I mean, this start is great, but this just gives you a different look right here of driving those hips, driving those feet behind the hips. That's what that was about, all right? So let's proceed. All right, so these are the drills. Now let's see if I can give you a video. I have a video of all of these, like I mentioned earlier, on my desktop, the wall series, the falling start, all of these. So I don't know if I can. I'm kind of scared if I computer. Okay, boom. So we should be all set. So lean, fall, and go, just like it sounds. Maintain erect posture as you lean out. A common mistake here is you lean with your hips too much, you arch your back, you drop your shoulders too much. This is going to cause you to lean and possibly overstride. Definitely spend too much time on the ground. You're going to see this from this angle as well as the side angle. So check it out. Boom. There you go. Lean, fall, and go from the front. And I'm going to do it from the side as well so you can get an idea of how the posture looks there. Right here, getting the place. It's nice tall posture, looking straight ahead, big chest, fall like a tree in the woods, and boom, that's it. I just wanted you to see it from both angles, all right? So you have that. Lean, fall, and go, not pogos, wall drills, T-spine, build-ups. Let's see what else. Let's see what else is missing here. Let's head back over here. Split stand, ankling and dribbling, and then low box. Ankling. That is here. Let's go with low box. In this case, it's called plate hops. All right, so we're gonna be hopping down, up and top, hopping on top of this plate. This is all about reactiveness. All right, your ability to your ability to create and release energy, to store and release the energy as quickly as possible. All right, here we go. We're not spending a lot of time on the ground. All right, that's what being reactive is about. Reactivity is about, I should say. Ankling, here, found it. Okay. So ankling. Ankling simulates your early phase of the drive phase of acceleration, right? Doing this drill, I want you to think of it as you're on a little small unicycle and you're stepping over your ankles. Watch this. Little mini unicycle, you're gonna see me step over the ankle, step over the ankle, step over the ankle, step over the ankle. That's all you're doing, right? So over here, this is what it looks like. Then we go into a sprint. So wanna go, let's rewind that one. Wanna go ankling right here, ankling into a sprint, all out. There we go. All right, that's what that's about. All right. So excuse me. I was just still a little congested there. All right, I didn't have the split stance, but that's the program right there, all right? Excuse me, that's the program right there. All right. So we have that, and then we have our what do we have? Our 60. Did we cover the screen yet? We talked about the first three steps, correct? First three steps there. Transition, power running. Yes, we talked about that. 60-second acceleration checklist. So this is basically things you should look for during your acceleration. I say everybody needs to have the mental checklist. First, one of the first things I tell my athletes, the sport doesn't matter. When you walk into a hitting, tennis, basketball, you have a list like this of things you need to work on to improve on, right? You need to get that list down to a couple of things, two or three things that you need to check off when you're on the line. All right. Let's see what this video is. This one right here, I can't remember. What's the arm action? We'll talk about arm action later. Um, this is something, this is talking about overstriding. Okay, let's talk about that. We'll talk about that in a bit. Can you keep a low shin angle for the first three steps? So think about your shin angle. Check off your shin angle. You saw a great example of that over here. I'm going to show it to you one more time.
Talk about
Look
here.
at that. Look at that deep shin
Great
angle.
start. I'm going to
Driving underneath the hips, deep shin angle once again.
that is arm and leg
That's what we
separation.
want. This is the best view right here. Look at that. Look at that deep shin angle. Yes.
Feet.
Great example of deep shin angles. Are you maintaining that low shin angle during the early acceleration phase? Your arm drive. You're going to get the tutorial that I mentioned right here. Pay attention. I'm going to talk through this, but these are the rules of arm action as you sprint. All right. So you're moving from cheek to back pocket. As I mentioned, it's a side view, cheek, back pocket, right? Now, your hands never go above your line of vision. Letting you show that. You're standing in an imaginary door. Keep your arms within that imaginary doorway. You're standing in an imaginary doorway. There's a line running down your body. Do not let your arms cross that line. All right? There you go. Simple work right there, right? And this is overstriding. So this is simple. You saw how efficient this start is over here with the hips underneath the center of mass. Now, what happens when you overstride and boom, right there? Compare that to what you saw with this elite sprinter over here. Now, I'm not even running at this point, right? What's happening is I literally stop until my center of mass travels over my leg, then I start moving again. That's what overstriding is, all right? Your striding, it's not as efficient, it's not as an efficient stride because you're not striking the grounds underneath the hip. You're striking the ground in front of the center of mass. So therefore, you're pulling the body. You literally have to pull your center of mass over that leg to start running again. Putting tremendous stress on the hamstring could potentially cause an injury down the road. Attack the ground underneath the hip as you accelerate. Attack the ground behind the hip, underneath the behind the hip as you accelerate. You know the proper arm action right now. Keep that low shin angle. All right. I must have skipped around or something. We already went over the exercises. That's a good thing, right? So now we're here at the drills. I guess this is the fun part for you guys, right? Want to go through this video. I believe it's going to cover everything. Some of this might cross over with the warm up. If so, I'll break that down. I think the first exercise does actually. I'm going to do a little band work here, possibly. Yeah, so I have doing mini band work. Want to talk about this later when we go over the warm up, the glute activation aspect of the warm up. So now I'm going to do lateral glute work here, glute activation, stepping it out, have the mini band right above my ankle. And I was trying to be cool right here, thinking I'm pushing off the different foot, knowing I'm pushing right off the same foot. I don't know if y'all picked that up, but yes. So glute activation, we'll talk about that later. So well, let me pause this. One of the drills that's listed right here, medicine ball throw. These are hurting. We keep training tomorrow. Med ball starts throws. All right, this is a acceleration drill. You're using your med ball. It says horizontal right here in the slide. Horizontal projection. All right. I don't have long jumps in this particular presentation, but long jumps are a staple as far as training acceleration, and you can mix in this med ball start throw as well. All right, you're going to see it right here. I have the med ball in my hand at this point. I'm going to triple extend my ankles, knees, and hips, full extend my arms, project my center of mass as far as I can as I throw the ball and sprint down the turf. So it looks like this right there. And check it out again. That's the mini band work. And launch the ball forward. Boom. Mini band. There's your med ball throw right there. We should have some more. This is just a sled push, right? I'm doing a sled march. We're talking about acceleration. You're gonna get a better angle in a few. No, I thought I edited all this out. Apologies on that. So I just wanted you to get the side view. You can really good angle see me attacking the ground behind the hips, maintaining that forward posture. All right. So that's what that's about. And timing gates. No, I have pictures of what you can use to time later on. We use lasers, but all you need is a good old-fashioned stopwatch. You can use this bad boy right here, right? You can always use your cell phone, whatever's convenient. Don't go overboard with that stuff. Keep it simple. You just need a little something to time, right? That's all you need, right? Warm-ups. We talked a lot about that already, all right? So let me see. I don't know if I need to stop sharing or not. I hope not. Um, we talked about arm action. I have the drills over here. We have our A skips right here. I'm hoping you guys can see this. A skips right here. Pop, pop, good rhythm. Arms attacking the ground underneath the hip. So when we're doing A skips, this is more of a time. This is getting our legs prepared, right, for the whatever the event is. But now we're striking the ground underneath our hips. So this is more of a top velocity phase of the sprint, right? But what you're focusing on is hitting your angles. Let me show you what that's about. Hitting your angles. So right here, 90 degrees, ankle 90 degrees, knee 90 degrees, hip 90 degrees. That's where you need to be. All right. We want to hit our ankles and attack the ground underneath our hip. Are you going to be right underneath your hip? No, you're going to be slightly in front. But I still want you to have that mentality of striking the ground underneath your hip. All right. So keep that in mind. Staying tall posture, big chest, looking straight ahead, everything looking good, and attack the ground. Pop with some rhythm. Add some rhythm. Pop, pop, pop. Add some rhythm to it. All right. Hey, Skips. Um, let's see. You are sharing. I just hope y'all aren't missing this. You already saw the glute activation. Hips, T-spine. I have that here. T-spine, we're gonna thread the needle right here, reaching through, reaching through. I need to do a lot more of this. That range of motion is struggling. I definitely need to get some range of motion there, but threading the needle, getting our T-spine prepared for the activity there. What else do we have? We have A skips, T-spine build-ups. Did I miss anything? Let's see. Pogo, plyo. Oh, we have to get those pogos in there. I love me some pogos, y'all. Love some pogos. Now, the thing with pogos, the whole concept here, plyometric jump training. Jump training is the best, one of the best way for you to minimize your ground contact time, right? And build that explosive reactive strength that that reactive strength that you need, that overall explosive strength that you need to improve your overall sprint. All right. Pogos, um, stay tall, go for height, but as we strike the ground, stay stiff at the ankle, knee, and hip joints. All right. Minimize ground contact time. Here we go. Bounce, 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 bounce. You see everything staying stiff. I'm not spending time on the ground, right? Boom, you see me up. Boom, and right back out of it. Boom, boom. Trying to keep your knees are going to bend a bit, but you need to have the awareness. You're trying to minimize that. You're literally a human pogo stick. As a pogo stick moves, that's how you move. Stay stiff at the ankle, the knee, and the hip joints. All right. So we have that taken care of. Um, what else? What else? What else? Do we go? We went over lean, fall, and go. Um, build ups. I love build ups. Nothing fancy here. Um, many different purpose uses for the build up. I like to use them in the early phase of off-season training. Guys have just finished. The joints are beat up. We don't need to do a lot of intense training, but build up is a great way for them to you know touch on certain intensities and not having to spend too much energy or tax the joints too much as they accelerate or end the sprint. So right here, I start off at about 50%. When I get halfway, I crank it up to about nearly 100%. Then you see, when you're doing this as an athlete, well, let me say this. As a coach, I need to see some type of difference when you make that transition from, in this case, 50% to boom, 100%. I need to see some type of difference there. All right. So when you're doing your build-ups, be cognizant and make that transition with intent. All right. Let's see. I'm struggling right here trying to complete that thing. There we go. We have the build-ups, we have the plyos, we have the A-skips, we have the dribbles. You saw the dribbles. The dribbles are the ankling that we saw earlier. All right, so you saw that good stuff. Where are we? Common errors. All right, let's get back to our guy. This is our dude right here. Let's bring him. Let's make him. That's what we're looking for right there. Again, that's common acceleration errors. They're all going to be exposed right here. See that straight line from that ankle, straight posture, 45-degree angle in relation to the ground, deep shin angle, straight line from the ear to the heel, arm separation, leg separation. That's an A plus, folks. That's an A plus. I use that daily. All right. So popping up early. So popping up early can be a poor shin angle, poor posture. You're not at that 45-degree angle. You're standing straight up. So you want to get those toes over your nose over your toes. I'm sorry, your nose right here over your toes, and you'll see a great example of that right here. But during your setup, right? He's already moving here. I'm talking about during your setup. Make sure that nose is well over that toe. Overstriding, we saw exactly what that is earlier, right? So strike under your hips. We saw what it is. We saw how to overstride. We saw how to correct the overstriding with the different wall drills, the sleds, whatever it is. But the cue is strike under your hips. All right. Shorter contact time is what we want. Arm crossing, you know that. You had a full tutorial on that, right? You had a full tutorial on the arm crossing, right? So check. cheek to pocket, hands past the hips. All right. Early heel striking. Dorsiflex. So if we're striking the ground with our heel striking, keep that punch. Dorsiflex. Dorsiflex is toes to the nose. I'm gonna show you what dorsiflexion is. Let's go back to the A skip. See how my toes are up? That's intentional. All right. See, my toes are up. Now, that's called dorsiflexion. Plantar flexion is the exact opposite. If my toes are pointing down towards the ground, that's plantar flexion. All right. That is a braking system. That's something we want to avoid. All right. So remember, that's dorsiflexion. Toes to your nose. Those toes right here up towards the nose right there. All right. So we have that in slow first step, pre-tension, quiet shoulders. Let me see if I can find that video. It's nothing fancy. It's just telling you to be slow before you go, right? See if I can find it. Ankling, arm action, screenshot. No, I don't see it. Okay. Maybe I didn't save it, but it's just me in my starting position, and I'm just relaxed, right? You're young, especially your younger athletes, you're I guess things are running through your head. You totally overlook what you should be doing. Remember that checklist I told you? Starts off here, gets it down to a couple things. Instead of going over that checklist in your head, taking a deep breath, visualizing what you have to do, self-talking yourself, they just line up there and go. All right? Slow things down, athletes, coaches, before you speed things up. Period. All right. That's an analogy we can talk about is how Michael Jordan would talk about how the rim is this big when he slows things down. He pays attention to his breathing, right? He's in that zone. Same thing here. Take a deep belly breath, I like to call it. Not breathing. Here, a belly breath from that's when your stomach expands instead of your chest expanding. Take that deep belly breath. Nice and easy. Now you're locked in. You just change your state of mind from beta to alpha, all right, which is the relaxed, big rim, locked in zone mindset that you need to execute the sprint. Slow things down before you speed things up, all right? Okay, here we go. Here's the video. Here's the video that I wanted you guys to see. Film your start, right? Film your start. You can't go wrong with that. Angles, side angle, that's going to be the best. You saw me showing a lot of things. You saw me showing you straight ahead angles. You saw firsthand how you always couldn't see things from that angle, right? So we have to turn to the side so you can see all the perfect angles there. We don't need to talk about all clear, stable, heavy, slow-mo filters. We don't need to talk about all that stuff. All I need now, this is what we use at the facility. We have these lasers right here. The company's called Dash R. That's blocking the R right there. I like them. They're pretty convenient. Come in a real cool briefcase. You can see right there. But Dash, the word dash and an R at the end. That's what that laser is. And then you have a good old fashioned. What's this? A good old fashioned stopwatch. Can't go wrong with a good old fashioned stopwatch, right? So you have that right there for you, right? Trying to minimize this thing. It's not working. There we go. Boom. All right. So now your gift for sticking around and getting better is your 7-day acceleration plan. Now, if you want the actual PDF, after watching this, just shoot me an email and I'll send that over. But this is your plan right here. Again, I have the whole PDF lined out for you. All you have to do is watch this video to see the exercises, nothing new, right? It was all covered in this presentation. Wall drills, falling start, dribbles, light sled starts, mobility, recovery, med ball throws and starts, technical refresh, 4 to 6 quality starts, and then active recovery, some breathing reset, belly breathing, breathing reset. All right. So the next step for you all, what would be the next step? If you're serious about getting better, You want this kind of coaching at a whole nother level, right? You sending me videos. I critique your videos. I get that information back to you. We meet once a week to talk about all aspects of your training, all aspects of your athleticism, all aspects of your mindset. Then you need to book that consultation, all right? If you're serious about taking your game to the next level, set up that private one-on-one. You can DM me on Instagram, say, I want my one-on-one. You can email me right here. It's kind of small. We can make it bigger for you. Actually, will we make it bigger right here? Struggling. It's admin@rkstrengthtraining.com. I'm doing too much, I think. I think I'm doing too much. Let's just make it a little bigger. I'll type it in. How about that? admin@rkstrengthtraining.com. Shoot me an email right here. All right. And I promise you will take your first step into becoming that top athlete, that fast athlete, that mentally strong athlete that you desire to be. All right.